First Contact's Fatal Mistake. High Commander Zextal of the Kryvax Empire stood on the bridge of the Destiny Breaker, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the pale blue light of the primitive planet below. His species had conquered 17 civilizations across 3 galactic arms, yet something about this backwater world made his sensor filaments twitch uncomfortably. "Status report," he commanded, his voice resonating through the crystalline chamber. "Preliminary scans complete, High Commander," Second Mind Analyst Varine responded, her neural tendrils pulsing with data streams. "The dominant species, self-designated as humans, has achieved basic spaceflight but remains confined to their solar system. Their most advanced weapons utilize chemical propulsion and crude nuclear fission. No energy shields detected. No quantum computing. No FTL capabilities." Zextal's mandibles clicked in amusement. Another primitive species that would be easily absorbed into the glory of the Empire. "Standard procedure: demonstrate overwhelming force, accept their surrender, and begin the integration process. Deploy the First Contact protocol," he ordered. "Show them our standard display of force." The Destiny Breaker's weapon systems hummed to life, targeting 3 uninhabited islands in their largest ocean. The demonstration would be visible from every continent, a perfect way to announce their presence and inevitable dominion. But when the energy beam struck, something unexpected happened. Instead of the usual panic and immediate diplomatic transmissions begging for mercy, the humans' military installations erupted with activity. Their primitive radar systems, which the Kryvax had considered barely worth noting, began tracking the Destiny Breaker with surprising accuracy. "High Commander," Varine's neural tendrils flickered with confusion, "they're launching projectiles at us. Primitive nuclear-tipped missiles." Zextal's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Let them witness the futility of their weapons against our shields." The missiles approached, and the Destiny Breaker's energy shields flared to life, standard procedure for dealing with primitive weaponry. But these missiles did something unexpected. Just before impact, they split apart, releasing clouds of metallic chaff and electromagnetic pulses in patterns that seemed almost deliberate. "Shield efficiency dropping." Varine's voice carried an unfamiliar note of alarm. They're probing our defenses. Testing for resonance frequencies." "Impossible," Zextal declared. "They couldn't have possibly." His words were cut short as the second wave of missiles struck. This time, they detonated in a precisely calculated sequence that created a momentary weakness in the shield harmonics. A single warhead slipped through, detonating against the hull. The damage was minimal, but the implications were staggering. These primitives had analyzed and adapted to Kryvax shield technology in minutes, not the years or decades it should have taken. "Launch the harvester drones," Zextal ordered, his victory clicks replaced by battle chittering. "Standard conquest formation." The harvesters deployed, crystalline constructs designed to incapacitate enemy forces with neural disruption fields. They had worked flawlessly in 17 consecutive conquests. But as they descended through the atmosphere, the humans did something unprecedented. They fought back. Not with panic or desperate heroics, but with cold, calculated efficiency. Their primitive projectile weapons, while technologically inferior, were employed with devastating tactical precision. They targeted joint mechanisms and sensor arrays, revealing an immediate understanding of harvester drone weak points that should have taken years to discover. "High Commander," Varine's neural tendrils had shifted to the deep purple of distress, "we're losing drones at an unprecedented rate. The humans, they're communicating. Sharing tactical data. Learning." Zextal watched in disbelief as his first wave of harvesters was systematically destroyed. The humans weren't just fighting, they were adapting their tactics in real time, each engagement making them more effective against Kryvax technology. "Launch the second wave," he ordered, but his confidence was shaken. Something was very wrong here. These humans weren't behaving like any species they'd encountered before. The second wave of harvesters met an even worse fate. The humans had already developed crude but effective electromagnetic countermeasures, disrupting the drone's control signals. They were turning the Empire's own technology against itself with primitive but ingenious solutions. High Commander, Vierin's voice had taken on an edge he'd never heard before. "I've completed the deep analysis of their information networks. You need to see this." The neural projection filled the bridge with thousands of human entertainment narratives, what they called science fiction. Stories of humanity fighting alien invaders. Centuries of theoretical scenarios, tactical analyses, and technological countermeasures, all conceived before they'd ever encountered actual alien life. "They've been preparing," Vierin whispered. "Not with technology, but with imagination. They've fought this war countless times in their minds, generated millions of possible scenarios. They're not learning to fight us, they're implementing pre-existing strategies they've refined for generations." Zextal felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of military command: doubt. The humans weren't just another primitive species awaiting conquest. They were something new. Something that had spent its entire civilization imagining ways to defeat beings exactly like the Kryvax. "Recall all forces," he ordered, his mandibles tight with tension. "We need to reassess. The standard conquest protocols, they won't work here." As the Destiny Breaker withdrew to a higher orbit, Zextal watched the blue planet below with new understanding. The Kryvax Empire had made a grave mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology alone, not recognizing that imagination and adaptability could be more powerful than any weapon. The real war hadn't even begun, but one thing was already clear: this would not be conquest number 18. This would be something entirely new, and for the first time in his long military career, High Commander Zextal wasn't certain of victory. The adaptive response. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display, her eyes reflecting the crystalline structure of the captured Kryvax drone. 3 months had passed since humanity's first contact with the alien empire, and those months had transformed human civilization more than the previous century. "Run the simulation again," she commanded, her voice steady despite having been awake for the past 36 hours. Around her, the underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity as the world's brightest minds worked to understand and adapt alien technology. "The crystal lattice is responding to the new frequency," her colleague, Dr. James Rodriguez, reported. "Look at how it reorganizes at the quantum level. It's not just a technology, it's almost alive." Sarah nodded, watching as the alien material shifted and flowed under their experimental procedures. The Kryvax had made a crucial mistake in their first assault. They'd given humanity samples of their technology to study. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was learning from their enemies. "General Williams needs to see this," Sarah said, already composing the report in her mind. "The crystalline structures aren't just for show, they're computing systems more advanced than anything we've theorized. But they have a weakness." The door slid open, and General Elena Williams strode in, her uniform bearing the newly created Terran Defense Force insignia. "Tell me you have something good, Doctor." "The Kryvax fleet is growing. Our long-range telescopes have detected at least 30 more ships entering the solar system." Sarah's tired face broke into a grim smile. "Better than good, General. We found their Achilles heel. The very thing that makes their technology superior is also its greatest vulnerability." She manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on the quantum structure of the crystal. "Their entire technological base relies on these self-organizing crystalline matrices. Incredibly advanced, yes, but also incredibly rigid in their organization. They can't handle chaos, and chaos is something we humans excel at creating." General Williams leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Explain." "Their systems are perfect, too perfect," James cut in, his excitement evident. "They operate on principles of absolute order. But we've discovered that introducing specific patterns of randomness, controlled chaos, if you will, causes cascading failures in their crystal matrices. Sarah pulled up another simulation. We've already developed prototypes. Missiles that don't just impact, they release quantum resonance patterns that disrupt their entire crystalline computing structure. Their ship systems will tear themselves apart from the inside. How long until we can deploy? Williams asked, already thinking of tactical applications. That's the best part, Sarah replied. We're not starting from scratch. Remember those experimental quantum destabilizers we were working on before first contact? The ones that everyone said were too unpredictable to be useful. Turns out, unpredictable is exactly what we need. Across the globe, similar breakthroughs were happening. In Bangalore, engineers had reverse-engineered the principles behind Krivak's shield technology. In Moscow, scientists had cracked the code of their faster-than-light communications. In Lagos, researchers had developed countermeasures against their neural disruption fields. But the Krivaks weren't idle. Their ships had maintained position just beyond lunar orbit, analyzing, adapting, trying to understand why their standard conquest protocols had failed. They launched occasional probing attacks, testing human defenses, but each engagement only gave humanity more opportunities to learn and adapt. High Commander Zextal received the latest battle analysis with growing concern. "Show me the human adaptation curve," he ordered. Varine projected the data stream, her neural tendrils pulsing with worry. The graph was unlike anything in Imperial records, a nearly vertical line of technological progress. "They're not just learning our technology, High Commander. They're improving it. Taking our perfect systems and making them imperfect. Unpredictable. In some cases, more effective." "Impossible," one of the subcommanders chittered. "No species can advance this rapidly. It defies all known development patterns." "That's precisely what makes them dangerous," Zextal replied. "They don't follow patterns. Every solution we deploy, they don't just counter it, they transform it, twist it into something new. Something chaotic." On Earth, the first human-modified Krivaks crystals were being integrated into orbital defense platforms. They weren't as elegant as the alien originals, but they were more versatile, more adaptable, and most importantly, unpredictable to Krivak scanning systems. Dr. Chen stood in the command center, watching as the first tests of their hybrid technology began. The crystalline structures, infused with human-designed quantum chaos patterns, glowed with an inner light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. "Beautiful, isn't it?" James remarked, standing beside her. "Not perfect like theirs, but perfect isn't always better," Sarah finished. "Adaptability beats perfection every time. That's what they don't understand about us. We don't need things to be perfect, we just need them to work." General Williams entered, her expression tense but determined. "The Krivaks fleet is moving. Long-range sensors show they're preparing for a major assault. This is it, people. Time to show them what humanity does best." As alarm sirens began to wail across the planet, Sarah watched their hybrid defense systems come online. The Krivaks were about to learn a harsh lesson: humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their weapons, but in their ability to take an enemy's greatest strengths and turn them into weaknesses. The real question was, how would the perfect, crystalline empire react when faced with the controlled chaos of human innovation? The answer would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of both species. Breaking point. The skies above Earth erupted in crystalline fire as the Krivaks launched their most devastating weapon yet. From the command bunker deep beneath Mount Cheyenne, Admiral Maya Patel watched as the biocrystalline spores descended through the atmosphere like deadly snowflakes. "All personnel, initiate Protocol Omega," she ordered, her voice carrying across global command channels. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." The Krivaks' latest weapon was designed to be their endgame, a crystalline organism that would rewrite human DNA, turning Earth's population into docile, crystal-enhanced beings compatible with Imperial control. It was elegant, sophisticated, and by all their calculations, unstoppable. But they hadn't counted on Dr. Marcus Zhang and his team at the Genetic Response Division. The spores are behaving exactly as we predicted, Marcus reported, his eyes fixed on the microscopic battle playing out on his lab screens. They're attempting to bond with human cellular structures, but... He allowed himself a small smile as the data confirmed what months of preparation had suggested. They're failing. Spectacularly. Explain it to me in simple terms, Doctor, Admiral Patel demanded, watching as the crystalline snowfall continued. They designed this weapon assuming human DNA was like every other species they've encountered, stable, predictable, relatively unchanging, Marcus explained. But human DNA is different. We're the product of an evolutionary arms race that never ended. Our immune systems, our cellular structure, our very genetic code, it's all designed to adapt and change. On screens across the command center, they watched as human cells did something unprecedented. They weren't just resisting the crystalline invasion, they were incorporating it, learning from it, evolving. Holy shit, someone whispered as the first results came in from exposed populations. They're not dying. They're not being converted. They're evolving, Marcus finished. The Kryvax designed a weapon to forcibly evolve us into something they could control. Instead, we're evolving into something they never imagined possible. Aboard the Destiny Breaker, High Commander Zextal received the preliminary reports with mounting horror. This cannot be correct, he chittered. Rerun the analysis. Vierine's neural tendrils had turned almost white with distress. The analysis is accurate, High Commander. The humans, their genetic structure is unlike anything in Imperial records. They're not just surviving the conversion process, they're subverting it. Using our own bioweapons to trigger controlled evolutionary responses. How is this possible? Zextal demanded. Their planet, Vierine explained, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. We thought it was primitive, but we were wrong. Earth is one of the most hostile environments we've ever encountered. Constant temperature fluctuations, extreme weather patterns, aggressive microorganisms. The humans aren't just surviving there, they evolved there. They're the product of billions of years of continuous adaptation. On Earth, the first reports of changed humans began to emerge. But instead of the docile crystal beings the Kryvax had intended to create, these were something else entirely. Humans with enhanced strength, accelerated healing, and most terrifyingly, the ability to interface directly with Kryvax technology. Dr. Sarah Chen, now sporting faint crystalline patterns beneath her skin, worked furiously at her console. The integration of crystalline structures into her nervous system hadn't weakened her as the Kryvax intended, it had given her unprecedented insight into their technology. Their entire empire is based on the assumption that evolution can be controlled, directed, made perfect, she explained to General Williams, her eyes now showing traces of crystalline facets. But Earth taught us differently. Evolution isn't about perfection, it's about adaptation. And we're the champions of adaptation. Across the planet, humanity was changing, but not in the way the Kryvax had planned. Each person's crystalline integration was unique, unpredictable, guided by their own DNA and the countless generations of survival that had shaped their species. They wanted to make us perfect, Marcus observed, watching as his own cells continued to evolve under the microscope. Instead, they made us better at being human. Admiral Patel received reports from around the globe. The crystalline infection, meant to be humanity's downfall, had instead triggered the biggest evolutionary leap in human history. But unlike the Kryvax's controlled, perfect evolution, this was wild, unpredictable, and undeniably human. Status report, she demanded. 80% of the exposed population is showing stable integration patterns, her aide reported. No signs of imperial control protocols taking hold. Instead, well, you should see for yourself. The screens filled with images from around the world. Humans interfacing directly with captured Kryvax technology. Others developing crystalline exoskeletons that they could control at will. Some even showing signs of being able to communicate directly with the crystalline computing networks that powered the Imperial fleet. They wanted to force us to evolve on their terms, Admiral Patel said, noting the crystalline patterns beginning to show on her own skin. Instead, they gave us the tools to evolve on ours. In orbit, the Kryvax fleet hung motionless, their perfect crystalline ships reflecting Earth's light as their commanders tried to comprehend their catastrophic miscalculation. They had sought to transform humanity into something they could control. Instead, they had given humanity the means to transform themselves into something beyond imperial control. The question was no longer whether humanity would survive, but what they would become. And as the crystalline pattern spread, integrating with human DNA in countless unique ways, the answer was becoming clear: they would become something the galaxy had never seen before. The hunter becomes the hunted. The Imperial battle cruiser, eternal symmetry, shattered like glass in the void of space, its perfect crystalline structure torn apart by weapons that should not have existed. Captain Diana Rodriguez, her skin now laced with iridescent crystal patterns, stood on the bridge of the TSS Prometheus, humanity's first hybrid warship. Target neutralized, her tactical officer reported, crystalline interfaces flowing between his fingers as he manipulated the ship's systems. The Kryvax fleet is falling back to Saturn's orbit. Diana nodded, her enhanced vision taking in multiple layers of battlefield data simultaneously. The integration of crystalline structures into human biology hadn't just changed their bodies, it had transformed their entire way of fighting. Each crew member was now a living part of their ship, connected through a neural network that made traditional command structures obsolete. "They still don't understand," she murmured, watching the Kryvax ships retreat in perfect formation. "They think perfection is strength." Aboard the Destiny Breaker, High Commander Zextal faced the first true defeat of his centuries-long career. "How?" he demanded, his crystalline exoskeleton crackling with stress. "Their ships are crude hybrid abominations. They shouldn't be able to match our technology, let alone surpass it." Vierine's neural tendrils pulsed with data as she analyzed their latest defeat. "The humans, they're not just using our technology, they're dreaming with it. Each ship is different, unpredictable. They're not trying to replicate our perfection, they're deliberately introducing chaos into the systems." The evidence was undeniable. Human ships, built with salvaged and transformed Kryvax technology, moved in ways that defied Imperial combat doctrine. Their weapons were impossible combinations of human ingenuity and crystalline power, guided by minds that had evolved to interface directly with both. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen led a team of enhanced humans in pushing the boundaries of what was possible with hybrid technology. The crystalline integration had given them unprecedented insight into Kryvax systems, but it was human creativity that transformed that understanding into weapons. "Look at how they fight," Sarah explained to Admiral Patel, projecting a hologram of the recent battle. "The Kryvax fleet moves like a single perfect organism. But our ships..." She gestured to the seemingly chaotic movements of Earth's defenders. "We move like an ecosystem." "An ecosystem?" the Admiral asked, her own crystalline enhancements glinting. "Yes. In nature, perfection is a dead end. True strength comes from diversity, from adaptation, from the ability to change. Each of our ships is unique, each crew bringing their own innovations to the hybrid technology. The Kryvax can't predict us because we're not trying to be perfect, we're trying to be alive." The truth of this was becoming devastatingly clear in every engagement. Kryvax ships, for all their technological superiority, fought according to patterns refined over millennia. Human ships fought like Earth creatures, adapting, evolving, breaking patterns as quickly as they made them. Captain Rodriguez watched as another Imperial vessel tried to predict her ship's movement patterns. The Prometheus's hybrid crystal drive pulsed with power as she thought the command rather than spoke it. The ship responded not just to her orders but to her intuition, the entire crew's collective consciousness flowing through the crystalline neural network. "They're scanning us again," her science officer reported. "Trying to analyze our weapon configurations." Diana smiled. "Let them scan. By the time they figure out how our current systems work, we'll have already changed them." The Prometheus's weapons were a perfect example of humanity's new approach to warfare. They didn't try to match the precise, perfect energy beams of Kryvak's ships. Instead, they fired crystalline projectiles that changed configuration mid-flight, carrying packets of chaos that corrupted the perfect symmetry of Imperial ships from within. Back on the Destiny Breaker, Zextal received reports of human ships approaching Jupiter's orbit. "They're not just defending anymore," he realized. "They're hunting us." Vierine's analysis confirmed his fears. "The humans have learned to track our quantum wake signatures. They can follow us through FTL jumps. High Commander, we can't retreat. Anywhere we go, they can follow." The implications were staggering. The Kryvax Empire had never faced a species that could pursue them through interstellar space. Their strategy had always been simple: overwhelm with superior technology, and if that failed, withdraw and return with greater numbers. But now, "They're not just fighting us," Zextal chittered, watching another perfect Imperial formation shatter under human assault. "They're learning us. Adapting to us. Becoming something that can hunt us." On the Prometheus, Diana felt the thrill of the hunt course through her enhanced nervous system. The crystalline structures in her body resonated with the ship's systems, giving her an almost predatory awareness of her prey's movements. "The Kryvax thought they were uplifting us," she broadcast to her fleet. "They thought they were giving us perfection. Instead, they gave us tools to become what we were always meant to be, the apex predators of the galaxy." The human fleet moved through space like a pack of wolves, each ship different, each crew unique, but all united in the hunt. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to show the galaxy that perfection wasn't the pinnacle of evolution, adaptation was. And as the Kryvax fleet retreated from yet another devastating defeat, the truth became clear: the hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was just beginning to show what they could do with their new powers. Evolution's champions. The crystalline spires of the Kryvax homeworld shimmered under the light of 3 suns, their perfect symmetry a testament to 50,000 years of controlled evolution. But today, that perfection was about to meet its match. High Commander Zextal stood before the Imperial Council, his once pristine exoskeleton showing stress fractures, physical evidence of the impossible war he'd been fighting. "The humans have followed us across 17 systems," he reported, his mandibles clicking with barely controlled tension. "Every engagement results in more of our ships being corrupted by their hybrid technology. They're not just defeating us, they're transforming us." The council chamber, a massive crystalline dome designed to amplify the pure thoughts of Imperial leadership, was filled with an unfamiliar sensation: fear. In orbit above their world, the combined fleet of humanity arrived not as conquerors, but as harbingers of change. The TSS Prometheus led the fleet, its hybrid crystal hull pulsing with patterns that defied Imperial understanding. Captain Diana Rodriguez, now more integrated with her ship than ever, broadcast a message that reached not just the Kryvax leadership, but resonated through the crystalline networks that formed the backbone of their civilization. "We didn't come to destroy you," her voice echoed through every crystal structure on the planet. "We came to free you." Dr. Sarah Chen, standing on the Prometheus's bridge, monitored the response through her enhanced senses. The crystalline patterns beneath her skin pulsed as she interpreted the data flowing from the planet below. "Their entire civilization is built on controlled evolution," she explained to Admiral Patel. "They found a way to make their species perfect, and then they stopped changing. They've been static for 50,000 years, spreading their version of perfection across the galaxy. And now they're meeting something they can't control," the Admiral observed, watching as the hybrid fleet took up position around the planet. "Something that never stopped evolving. On the planet's surface, Vierine felt something she hadn't experienced in her entire existence: change. The human broadcast wasn't just a message, it carried within it the seeds of chaos, of adaptation, of evolution itself. "High Commander," she called out, her neural tendrils writhing with new patterns, "the humans, they're not using our technology anymore. They've evolved beyond it. And they're offering to show us how." The truth was spreading through the crystalline networks of the Kryvax civilization like a wildfire of consciousness. Humanity hadn't just survived their perfect weapon, they had transformed it into something new. Something that combined the best of both species, the ordered beauty of crystal and the endless adaptability of organic life. Diana stood from her captain's chair, her form now a seamless blend of human and crystalline structures. "Your empire is built on the pursuit of perfection," she broadcast. "But perfection is stagnation. Life, real life, is about change, about growth, about the beautiful chaos of evolution." From the Prometheus's labs, Dr. Marcus Zhang added his own data to the transmission. "Look at your own history," he urged. "Before you achieved your perfect crystalline form, your species was capable of incredible adaptation. You didn't reach the stars because you were perfect, you reached them because you could change. The effect was immediate and unprecedented." Across the Kryvax homeworld, crystalline structures began to pulse with new patterns. The rigid symmetry that had defined their civilization for 50 millennia began to shift, to flow, to evolve. High Commander Zextal watched in awe as his own exoskeleton began to change, the crystal structures flowing like liquid, responding to thoughts and emotions he hadn't known he could feel. This is what we used to be," he realized. "Before we chose perfection over possibility." The Imperial Council chamber erupted in a cascade of transformation as ancient genetic memories, long suppressed in the pursuit of perfection, awakened. The Kryvax were remembering what they had been, and glimpsing what they could become. Sarah Chen monitored the changes through the hybrid network. "They're not just accepting the change," she reported, "they're embracing it. 50,000 years of suppressed evolution, all releasing at once." Admiral Patel nodded. "Because deep down, every living thing knows the truth, the only perfect organism is a dead one. Life means change, adaptation, evolution." As the transformation spread across the Kryvax civilization, humanity's fleet maintained its vigil. They hadn't come to conquer or destroy. They had come to share the greatest lesson Earth had taught them, that strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in never stopping the journey toward it. "We are evolution's champions," Diana broadcast one final time. "Not because we're perfect, but because we never stop trying to be better. And now you can be too." The crystal spires of the Kryvax homeworld caught the light of their 3 suns, but now they shimmered with new patterns, new possibilities. The perfect empire was ending, but something far more remarkable was beginning, a civilization that combined the ordered beauty of crystal with the endless potential of life itself. Humanity had done more than survive the galaxy's perfect empire. They had reminded an ancient species of a truth their ancestors once knew, that the real power of life lies not in achieving perfection, but in the endless dance of change, adaptation, and growth that makes all things possible. The war was over. Evolution had won. And in the endless depths of space, 2 species began the next phase of their journey, not as conquerors and conquered, but as fellow travelers on the endless road of becoming.